Hey, we are at the Data Summit 2019 at the booth of GANADO Advocates, and this is James. We're gonna start with a small pitch, and afterwards we're gonna take some questions.
Hi, so basically GANADO is one of the largest law firms in Malta, a complement of 200 people. We focus on three main pillars, which are shipping and corporate law and financial services. And we've taken a keen interest in this field a number of years ago, and we've assisted even the government in drafting the laws and creating this regulatory framework.
Okay, nice. And what are some projects you did last time, or some interesting project maybe?
So, as I've said, we've been quite heavily involved in the drafting of the framework. So, we've assisted in the drafting of two of the three new laws which were enacted in Malta in the blockchain sphere, and we've also provided feedback on a number of consultation documents issued by the regulator in the VFA space.
Oh, nice.
We also assist, obviously, a number of service providers in the VFA space, providing service relating to cryptocurrencies and so on.
Okay, let's start with the first question. When did you start working in the field of blockchain and cryptocurrency? You personally?
Personally, I have a keen interest in technology myself. I love technology, and I try to marry both law and technology, and even the areas I studied when I was back at university. I've always taken an interest in the fields of fintech, robo-advisory, blockchain and AI. And I think 2-3 years ago I've also went to London and focused specifically on law and blockchain and how it can actually change and revolutionize the financial services sector.
And GANADO Advocates?
GANADO, this is my 6th year at the firm, and although I didn't start working in blockchain as such. I started in the investment services fields in my first few years, and then I moved slowly towards the fintech space, e-money, payments, and now blockchain service providers.
Nice. And what was the motivation for it?
As I said earlier, I've always loved technology, and the disruptive element of blockchain is quite a captivating subject, which we've been delving into and try to see the legal issues around it, which are extremely interesting to see how you're going to marry and how you're going to see the law catch up with the new
technology.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. What, in your point of view, are the biggest challenges for implementing blockchain and similar technology in everyday life?
Well, blockchain, the education is still very. We still need to educate people with the advantages and benefits of this wonderful technology, because I don't think the world still appreciates how our lives would be much better with blockchain, particularly in the government services, for example, and in financial services as well. So, besides the education, I think one of the biggest challenges which we're facing and we're seeing as well, clients having this difficulty as well, is the banking sector, which needs to adapt as well to this new industry, which it might have been seen as risky at first, considering some stories around cryptocurrency and so on in the past, but now we're seeing a new development in the blockchain technology itself rather than cryptocurrency. So hopefully the banking sector, together with a complement of e-money and payment institutions, will help evaluate the payment service in this field.
Nice. And what do you think about regulating the internet?
Oh, that's a very tricky question. Well, the internet is a harsh mistress, and you need to be careful to marry and to balance the rights of those using the internet and those offering services. I don't have an exact answer to that, because
no problem.
Although I believe there should be some level of regulation, I guess you need to let the internet regulate itself as well.
Yeah. Right. How is Malta adopting the new laws regarding the blockchain technology?
Well, Malta I think, has managed to find the balanced and median way how to regulate blockchain technology, because you need to be careful not to impose too many rules and regulations to stifle technology, but at the same time give some credibility and recognition to those who actually mean business in this field. And in a number of jurisdictions across the globe, we've seen states where they heavily regulated blockchain, and they actually, some of them banned it and cryptocurrencies, and they say anything which has to do with cryptocurrency either is banned or you need a license which will destroy your business. And we've seen other jurisdictions where it was a free-for-all environment. Malta, we managed to find the middle way, and we've said, like, if you're offering these types of services in relation to this type of asset, then you need a license, and we've tried to replicate also the frameworks in European directives and regulations, particularly the MiFID directive. With respect to blockchain per se, we've also created a voluntary certification regime where those who would want to get their technology certified and audited, they will get a certificate after going through a number of tests, and therefore that would give them a boost of credibility.
Okay, now some basic questions, not regarding GANADO. What makes blockchain a unique technology?
Well, blockchain, being a trustless protocol, that's how that's the definition I like best about the technology. It's everyone trusts each other, but at the same time you don't trust anyone. I mean, the concept of Bitcoin, which is blockchain, started mainly, or got its boost when Bitcoin came about following the crisis, and it came about following an anarchic movement where people had a distrust in banks and financial institutions, and they wanted to detach towards having a too big to fail institution having the control over everyone. So Bitcoin and blockchain kind of gave the power to the people. And so instead of relying on someone to do something, you're relying on technology. And there are the checks and balances of this shared ledger across a number of nodes where everyone gets to validate a transaction is something which is fascinating, and we should tap into it as much as possible.
Totally right. What blockchain future would you like to envision?
Well, the perfect scenario is that all the services, let's start with Malta first, that all the government services in Malta are on blockchain. And therefore they're efficient already, but we get a more efficient way how to deal with our everyday lives that eventually we move towards a complete public blockchain where everything is on a distributed ledger, and we don't rely on one or two institutions. But I think it's still very early days for that to actually implement itself.
What do you think makes blockchain a transformative technology?
Well, as I said earlier,
Shared ledger?
exactly, the fact that you have the same ledger where before, let's use the payment industry, like Bitcoin is one of its main uses is payments. And whereas before you had a bank which has this book, this ledger, and we have to instruct the bank to pass on funds, now that ledger is shared across all the nodes in the network. And obviously that gives a number of benefits. So there is no single point of failure, for example. So if one node fails, you have the distributed nature of the ledger allows it for the network to continue operating. It prohibits double spending, which is as well a great benefit. The democratic nature of blockchain, I mean, the list is endless. We can go on for hours.
Voting on the blockchain, for example.
Voting on the blockchain. Obviously, there are pros, there are cons as well. But I think the benefits outweigh the disadvantages in this sector.
Okay, now my favorite question. Explain blockchain in 2 words.
In 2 words. I
You-
used it already.
Yeah.
Just less protocol. It's my favorite phrase to describe the technology.
And maybe your favorite use case?
My favorite use case,
Finance, government.
let's say, no, my favorite use case, it's linked to finance as well. There's this story of linked to money remittance where you have a worker working in who actually left their family and to today's day and age. If we did not have blockchain, they would have to go to a service provider to change their currency and then send it to their family, back to their family. With blockchain, they can just tap it on their phone
Right.
and send the money in 10 minutes without the fees and without the hassle and the uncertainty that the money is not going to arrive because it will arrive in 10 minutes.
Totally right. James, thank you a lot for your time.
Thank you.